There's a type of woman who thinks she's untouchable, convinced she's smarter, more independent, and always one step ahead. She moves through life with an air of confidence, acting like she's in control. But the harsh truth, she's lost. She sabotages herself at every turn, but she's too blind or too arrogant to see it. She blames everyone else for her problems, justifying every bad decision, and worst of all, she never learns. And if you're not careful, you'll get caught in her spiral, wasting your time, your energy, even your sanity, trying to fix someone who doesn't want to be fixed. Or worse, you'll start adopting the same destructive mindset without even realizing it. The Stoics understood one thing clearly. Wisdom isn't about what you claim to know, it's about how you live. And a woman like this, she refuses to face reality. So listen carefully. By the end of this, you'll know exactly what makes a woman like this so dangerous to herself and everyone around her. More importantly, you'll know how to spot her, avoid her, and make damn sure you never become like her. Before we dive in, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give this video a like, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. Let's get into it. Sign 1. She mistakes attention for value. There's a certain type of woman who lives for one thing: validation. To her, being seen is the same as being important. If people are looking at her, talking about her, reacting to her, she feels like she matters. And the second that attention fades, she panics. That's why she floods social media with her every thought, every meal, every so-called deep realization. Why she turns minor inconveniences into full-blown dramas, because outrage keeps her relevant. Why she suddenly becomes spiritual or wise, when in reality, she's just desperate for another hit of attention. But here's the brutal truth. Attention is not the same as value. A firework might light up the sky for a few seconds, but a star burns for a lifetime. A woman with real worth doesn't need to beg for eyes on her. She commands respect without even trying. And this is where Stoicism comes in. The Stoics understood that external validation is fleeting. 1 minute, the crowd praises you. The next, they tear you down. A woman who builds her identity around attention is enslaved by the opinions of others. And what kind of man willingly ties himself to someone so emotionally unstable? If you come across a woman whose entire sense of self is built on likes, compliments, and being wanted, run. She's not looking for love. She's not looking for success. She's chasing her next high. And if you're not careful, you'll become nothing more than her temporary fix. Sign 2. She has no self-control. A foolish woman isn't in charge of her own life. Her impulses are. She's a slave to her cravings, her emotions, and her fleeting desires. She knows she should save money, but the second she sees something trendy, her credit card is out. She knows texting her toxic ex is a mistake, but the loneliness gets to her, and suddenly, she's right back in his DMs. She knows that discipline creates success, but when given a choice between growth or comfort, she always picks comfort. And that's why her life is in chaos. She's either broke, heartbroken, or stuck in the same cycle of failure, because she refuses to master herself. A woman like this has zero control over her emotions, her spending, her time, or even her body. If she's unhappy, she drowns herself in distractions, Netflix binges, scrolling for hours, drinking, gossiping, anything to avoid facing reality. And when her life falls apart, it's never her fault. She'll blame society, men, bad luck, anything but her own weak discipline. But here's the cold, hard truth. A woman who can't control herself can't be trusted. If she can't even resist her own impulses, how can she resist temptation, stay loyal, or commit to something real? This is where Stoicism separates the weak from the strong. The Stoics understood that self-control is the foundation of power. A person who is ruled by their impulses is not free. They are a prisoner of their own desires. True strength comes from mastering yourself, from choosing what is right over what is easy. A wise woman understands this. She knows that discipline is the key to real freedom. The freedom to build wealth, to choose the right man, to shape a powerful life. A foolish woman, on the other hand, mistakes freedom for indulgence. She thinks doing whatever she feels like will bring her happiness, but all it does is keep her trapped in a cycle of regret. And if you're a man who values your future, stay far away from a woman like this, because a life tied to someone with no self-control, that's not a relationship. That's a ticking time bomb. Sign 3. She talks more than she thinks. Ever met a woman who talks endlessly? She's the one who dominates every conversation, constantly filling the air with her voice, as if her words were the most important thing in the room. But let's be real. She's not speaking because she has something meaningful to say. She's speaking because she needs to be heard. This is the kind of woman who gives advice she's never bothered to follow herself, argues passionately about things she knows little to nothing about, and interrupts anyone who dares to make a point. She's so consumed by the need to be right that she doesn't care about actually understanding. For her, the argument itself is the victory. If she's louder, she thinks she's winning. But here's the cold, brutal truth. The smartest people don't talk the most. They listen the most. They observe. They think. And when they speak, it's with purpose. Every word is measured, like a warrior choosing his weapons before stepping into battle. Deliberate, precise, and effective. A foolish woman, though, throws words around like a child with crayons. Reckless, messy, and all over the place. She doesn't know how to pause and reflect, to truly think before she speaks. And that's why her life never seems to improve. She fails to learn because she never gives herself a moment to think critically about anything. Every conversation is a reflection of her shallow mindset, her desperate need to be heard, rather than her ability to say something of real substance. In the Stoic mindset, silence and reflection are power. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, taught that it's not what happens to you, but how you respond that matters. And responding with thoughtfulness is far superior to rambling mindlessly. A Stoic man knows that his words are limited, so he makes them count. A wise woman, like a Stoic, understands this principle. She chooses her words like weapons, carefully, meaningfully, and with purpose. She knows the value of silence, of listening first, and speaking only when she has something of real worth to contribute. A foolish woman. She can't stop talking, even if it means she's talking herself into more mistakes. If you're smart, you'll avoid women like this, because talking too much often means thinking too little. A woman who talks endlessly without ever reflecting on her words will only bring chaos into your life. Stay sharp, stay stoic, and don't let the noise of the world distract you from your own purpose. Silence, after all, is the ultimate weapon. Alright guys, what's the biggest mistake you've seen someone make over and over again? Drop it in the comments below. And if you're done tolerating foolishness, type "I won't tolerate foolishness" in the comments. Let's hear your thoughts. Sign 4. She blames everyone but herself. You've seen it before, the woman who can never seem to take responsibility for anything. If she's single, it's because all men are trash, not because she chooses toxic relationships or has unrealistic standards. If she's broke, it's the system's fault, not the fact that she spends beyond her means or lacks the discipline to save. If she fails, someone else ruined it for her. The list of excuses never ends. A foolish woman can't face the reality that every choice she's made has led her to where she is right now. She's so caught up in blaming external forces that she's blind to the fact that she is the architect of her own downfall. She'll point the finger at everyone around her, but never once at herself. Here's the brutal truth. Life doesn't give a damn about your excuses. No one is coming to save her. She's stuck in a vicious cycle, blaming others for the consequences of her own poor decisions. And as long as she continues playing the victim, she'll never break free. That's how she stays stuck, spinning in circles. Contrast this with the Stoic approach, the idea that you are the only one responsible for your life. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic philosopher and emperor, often reflected on the idea that we control only our actions, our thoughts, and our responses to external events. The Stoic mindset tells us, no matter how bad things get, we have the power to choose how we react to them. It's about owning your reality, no matter how painful or difficult it is. A wise woman, much like a Stoic, understands this. She takes responsibility for her life. She doesn't waste time blaming others or pointing fingers. She learns from her mistakes, reflects on her decisions, and does better next time. She knows that true growth comes from accountability, not excuses. But the foolish woman, she'll never win because she's trapped in a victim mindset. She believes that the world owes her something, that everyone else is the problem. And as long as she continues to shift the blame, she'll never have the power to change her life. For a man, being involved with a woman like this can be destructive. She'll drag you into her world of blame and excuses, making you question your own reality. A Stoic man knows that you must choose accountability over blame if you want to build the life you desire. No one else is responsible for your success or your failure except you. So here's the takeaway. If you come across a woman who never owns up to her mistakes and is always blaming someone else, run. She will keep you stuck in her web of excuses while you're trying to build your own future. Self-awareness and accountability are the only ways forward. Sign 5. She chooses the wrong friends. Ever heard the saying, "Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future"? Well, there's a brutal truth behind that. A foolish woman. She's the one who surrounds herself with people who enable her worst habits. Why? Because it's comfortable. It feels good. These are the friends who tell her what she wants to hear, not what she needs to hear. They keep her stuck in the same toxic cycles because they're too afraid to challenge her, or worse, they're just like her. She clings to the drama queens, the gossipers, and the ones who love to stir the pot because deep down, she craves validation. These people never question her choices, never make her uncomfortable, and never hold her accountable. They tell her what she wants to hear, not the hard truths that would actually help her grow. In her eyes, it's better to feel good than to be confronted with her flaws. And that's exactly why she's never going to get any better. But then there's the wise woman. She understands that true growth comes from being surrounded by people who challenge her, who aren't afraid to call her out on her mistakes, even when it stings. She chooses friends who push her to level up, who force her to confront her weaknesses, and who make her uncomfortable in the most valuable ways. She knows the brutal truth. Who you spend your time with is who you become. You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So, if you're hanging with losers, guess what? You're not going to get any better. If you surround yourself with mediocrity, you'll never reach your potential. A wise woman gets this. A foolish woman doesn't. Let's bring in Stoicism here. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful Stoic philosophers, wrote about the importance of the people you associate with. He understood that your character is shaped by the company you keep. Stoicism teaches that virtue and wisdom are forged through relationships that challenge us to improve, not simply affirm our flaws. A Stoic woman isn't afraid to walk away from toxic friends and environments. She seeks people who bring her up, who challenge her perceptions and actions, not those who keep her stuck in her comfort zone. If a woman spends her time with toxic people, people who feed into her insecurities, weaknesses, and bad habits, she'll never truly grow. She'll be forever tethered to the dysfunction around her. Now, for a man in the manosphere or the red pill community, this should hit home. Who you allow in your circle shapes your path. If you surround yourself with men who only talk about drinking, partying, and chasing fleeting pleasures, you're going to remain stuck in the same cycle. But if you associate with men who challenge you to level up, to push yourself beyond your limits, and to always strive for excellence, then you're on the path to greatness. So, the next time you see a woman surrounded by negativity, drama, and people who don't hold her accountable, run. She's stuck in a loop of her own making, and if you get caught in it, you'll find yourself dragged down with her. Take this lesson with you. Choose your friends wisely. Surround yourself with people who challenge you, not people who just let you slide by. And for a woman, the same rule applies. Surround yourself with those who make you better, not worse. Sign 6. She never learns from her mistakes. We've all seen it. The woman who never seems to learn from her mistakes. It's like watching someone drive full speed into a brick wall and then doing it again and again without ever questioning why the wall keeps showing up. It's maddening, but it's a pattern that many fall into. A foolish woman repeats the same cycle of poor decisions, failing to break free from the traps she sets for herself. She dates the same toxic guys, knowing full well they're just going to bring her down again. She falls for the same lies, even though she's been burned 100 times before. She makes the same reckless choices with her money, her relationships, and her life. And yet she's shocked when the consequences hit. At some point, the blame game gets old. She never looks in the mirror and asks herself, why does this keep happening? Because here's the brutal reality. Every bad decision is a reflection of a deeper pattern of self-sabotage. A foolish woman never takes accountability. She never pauses to evaluate her actions and learn from them. Instead, she stays stuck in a loop, constantly failing and wondering why nothing changes. But here's where the wise woman separates herself. She makes mistakes, like everyone else. But what makes her different is that she doesn't repeat them. She takes a step back. She learns from her failures, evaluates her decisions, and applies the lessons she's learned to avoid falling into the same traps. She adapts, she evolves, and that's why, over time, she grows stronger, wiser, and more self-aware. Let's talk about Stoicism here. One of the core teachings of Stoic philosophy is that life is a series of challenges that we must learn from if we're ever going to grow. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, talked about how failure isn't something to be ashamed of, but it is something we should learn from. Failure isn't the end. It's a moment to reflect, assess, and change course. A Stoic knows that mistakes are inevitable, but there are also opportunities for improvement. It's all about taking responsibility and using those lessons to refine your character. If you fail and never change, then you're doomed to repeat it forever. This applies directly to women too. A foolish woman keeps banging her head against the same wall because she refuses to examine her mistakes and grow from them. Meanwhile, a wise woman uses failure as a stepping stone. Each mistake is an opportunity to become better, stronger, more resilient. She doesn't dwell on the failure. She learns from it, adapts, and moves forward. She doesn't make the same mistakes twice. For men in the manosphere, this is a massive red flag. Never tolerate people who repeat their mistakes without learning from them. It's a sign of weakness, a refusal to grow. Whether it's a woman in your life or even a man, the inability to learn and evolve means they're stuck in a rut. If you keep failing and doing the same things over and over again without learning, you're no different. The key to leveling up is learning from your failures, understanding the patterns, and breaking the cycle of stupidity. The cold, hard truth is this: success is built on overcoming failure. But if you keep failing and not adapting, you're just spinning your wheels. And a woman who refuses to learn from her mistakes, she'll never win. She'll always be in the same miserable cycle. And that's exactly why she'll remain stagnant. So ask yourself, are you learning from your failures or just repeating them? Are you growing, evolving, and getting better? Or are you stuck in a loop of the same old mistakes? The answer to that question is the difference between being a man of strength and a man of stagnation. Now you know, the difference between a wise woman and a foolish one isn't about how much she knows, how much she talks, or how much attention she gets. It's about how she lives. A wise woman has self-control. She takes responsibility. She learns. She surrounds herself with the right people. And she values substance over attention. A foolish woman, she does the opposite. And here's the last thing you need to know. Wisdom is a choice. So, choose wisely. If this made you think, even for a second, hit that like button. Because content like this, it's not for everyone. It's for people who want to level up. And if that's you, subscribe. Thanks for watching.